When we're having difficulty finding a sense of quietude or peace, it can be that the more we kind of sense that aspect of who and what we are, that I like to call our nature as spirit, or our nature as the eternal, because it's not based in time, that the more we've touched into that and sensed that through our practices, the more it might be at the ready in certain moments where we feel pulled into our human experience and our perceptions very much colored by our likes and our dislikes, or what we want to be happening or don't want to be happening, and how we've identified ourselves as someone who should move the moment along according to what we want or don't want. And when we concretize around that identity and it starts to cause us a lot of suffering or distress, some anxiety, some lack of peace, some resistance, some upset, it's not always really readily possible, but with practice, through attuning to that sense of ourselves that is not defined by experience, that is that pure seeing, we might get a sense that what knows we're having a difficult experience, or what knows we're having a positive experience, is in and of itself quite immaculate, you could say, or quite untouched by the feeling tones of experience. It's this sense of what we are that's prior to experience and yet has been bearing witness and has a deep knowledge of all the experiences we've ever had. And I don't mean a knowledge of the facts. I mean like a knowing of being that knows what it is to have lived a good deal of life. And just knows that you exist. Or even sometimes in its looseness and absence of someonehood, knows that you don't really exist as that someone as vehemently as your mind or that someone paradigm would insist that you do. And so getting a feel for what is essentially perceiving this moment and this life gives you a real different sense than being really identified as someone who is the perceiver, who is the experiencer, who is the someone. And we could say that is the ego that is predicated on its desires and aversions. And this very quiet sense of perceiving can really sort of have different locusts. So sometimes you can, look out your eyes and sense that your awareness that's not located in somebodyness, like I'm the one who's aware of this, like I'm at point A and I'm aware of this at point B and this at point C and this at point D, or this larger point E, that when that somebodyness is very relaxed, you can get this feeling that you are awareing, and that awareness has no edge or boundary, just like it doesn't feel, I could really say that it doesn't have a history or a future or a gender, or a name, an age. And in that sense of locust of awareness, it feels more like it's above your neck, like above the horizon, like the sky would be above the horizon, very spacious openness. There's a certain kind of spaciousness in that perceiving that feels different than when we're contracted around our someonehood or are identified with what's happening and in a tug of war with it. So there's this kind of very spacious sky-like quality. And in Qigong, they speak about the heart center as bridging the heavens or the sky and the earth, below the heart center. And so when I speak about that awareness as it functions through that sense of seeing and perhaps listening that we associate above the neck, there is this kind of very sky-like quality to it. And when it's below the heart, it can feel very connected, like grounded, rooted. The dantian and the core muscles of the lower abdomen, if you engage them, there's the feeling of rootedness, and you can feel the consciousness of your lower body come alight, and there's a greater awareness of your feet connecting to the floor and to the earth, and there's a greater sense of gravitas, of energy that drops down below the waist, and it's much more solid and less loose and kind of open and sky-like. It's much more like the earth. It resides below in the deep, dark depths of the soils of earth and rock and mineral. And you can feel how your body mirrors and it expresses and exhibits those qualities of earth when your awareness is more light, like below your waist and down through your legs and down through your feet. There's a way that the body mirrors that solidity and rootedness and downward, inward pull toward the gravity toward earth. And our consciousness can drop into that and come alive in our body with that groundedness. And when that happens, as I was saying earlier, it's much like, a pond that's been stirred up and is all mucky, or a glass of water that's has silt in it that's been stirred up. But when that silt and muck settles, or just simply when that solid matter settles, there's a clarity that results above that silt. Like turning the pond to keep it a healthy pond can sometimes stir up the muck, but as it settles, it really is very open and more crystal clear. And so too is our perception. It can become very clear and vivid when our energy resides more in a replete or full sense of solidity in our hara, or our what's sometimes called the lower dantian, the lower gateway in Qigong and Taoism. And then this heart center in the middle gives us a different kind of perception, and sometimes it's a marriage of that open spaciousness and that grounded, still, anchored clarity. And the heart can be a way that connects us with the world of form, just like the lower center that's connected with the earth form. And the heart can connect us with this world of form that we can touch and feel, and has texture and richness that's different than sort of this more airy, spacious perspective of awareness. That it has its own clarity as well, but it's less grounded in the world of form than the heart center or the lower center. But the heart can have this rich connection to form, and just the heart center and its meridians or channels go out through the hands. It can feel more connected with what is tangible and touchable and in our form experience. But it can also be very open and can be spacious in its qualities of allowance and ability to let things move more freely and reveal to us in time. And so we can perceive our experience differently as these different centers open and become more conscious, more online, you could say, to use a computer term, more activated. And sometimes that goes very smoothly, and we feel more of the positive qualities of that. And sometimes it can go a little awry. One person wrote in about spiritual bypassing. And sometimes when a person, especially when they have awakening on the level of mind, or they can really get that sense of the loosening of the I identity opening, and a sense that there really isn't a need to organize around a sense of central someone that has all these beliefs or preferences or desires. And when that loosens, sometimes the mind will really grab on to this notion that, I'm no one and you're no one, and there is, nothing to nowhere to land and nowhere to concretize. And sometimes I can feel very divorced from this world of form, where someone's like, hello, I know you're enjoying, the reprieve from, being identified with someone that has these struggles of desires and aversions. But in your more spacious reality, you're not, resting down here in earth. Like, hey, how about doing those dishes? Or how about getting to work? Or how about not telling me that I'm no one when I tell you that it's actually not working for me when, you don't have a job because, you used to have one and our family depended upon that income or something like that. And I think with good teachings and good guidance that people can avoid these things and can be steered toward practices that are more connected in with their lives. And that's really my hope as a teacher, is to help people remain connected to their humanity and the concrete aspect of what it is to be incarnated and to live their life, so that I can steer them clear of those kinds of ways of sort of bypassing the human experience in order to remain in this transcendent realm. There's a time and a place for that, and that's can be part of many people's unfolding, even people who listen to my teachings or who are under my guidance. But for the most part, a person who follows specific inquiries and specific practices that are, more rooted in intentions that are connected with heart and connected with how our lives actually are informed and are connected in service and in participating in the world. Those real people have realizations that are more integrated.